do I become the best version of me? Raised by certain degrees, they say I'm blurting disease, cause I spit anti-establishment. This is battleship, I'm calling your number and letter, and I only do it to make you better. Negative mindsets just won't let up, and I'm constantly battling my predecessors, cause I get too fed up. But the same when the same brings pain. Locks and chains reduce the potential of human brains. I'm too insane, at least it's what they label me. I'd rather be labeled as crazy than stuck in the matrix. I got Asia chasing cause I'm making these statements. I'm participating in the emancipation of a nation under interrogation. See my determination as you turn in these pages. I will never ever be degraded. They want me to dumb it down and say the industry ain't ready for too pure of a sound, for too pure of a heart, for too much empathy. I will give it all till I empty me. This is my manifest destiny. Preferably dropping bombs over melodies. You feel it heavily, you're telling me. Watch out. But it brings a resistance. Please don't miss this. Consequence vicious. We need to destroy the traumas. Go back and heal for a better tomorrow. Face the pain that you want to avoid. Stick out your chest and raise up your voice. I will not bend. I will not break. Stand in my place and I won't be swayed. Mark my words, lives will be saved. And even after I die, my legacy will remain. My emotions running amok, I'm out of luck. What the flying flip is going on? I say I'm a king, but I'm showing porn. My logic feels intoxicated. No love left cause my heart's been raided. Feeling jaded, want me medicated. Feeling like a fish cause I'm hooked and baited. And I can't find peace. I become my own worst enemy. Sipping Hennessy, feeling dead in me. If my pain were a woman, gotta let her free. But she's holding on with a grip of death. The pain gets worse with every breath. I just wanna keep you in the dark so low. You feel it in your soul. Never see the light of day. You say, yeah, I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I don't like who I become. What have I done? I'm going numb, ain't having fun. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. Crazy is as crazy does. I catch myself trying to flirt with Lady Luck, but she just curves me. I'm worried, vision's blurry, feeling like death's coming early. You never get rid of me, even when you say that you're getting sick of me. Painted so vividly, making you sickening, feeling with misery, burning like Listerine. I spit on your grave, I'm taking control until you misbehave. The pain comes in waves, today I'm a slave. A trophy to gain, I'll put you on display. And laugh at your misfortune, laughing at your tears pouring, laughing at attempts of ignoring. Pieces foreign, the more you fight, the more you let me more in. This can't be life. The doc help me out, I can no longer fight. I'm crying uncontrollably, I need a hold of me. What's life supposed to be? And I'm feeling suicidal. All my rivals got me quitting on survival. My heart needs to mend. I don't wanna kill myself, just want the pain to end. But it feels like an uphill battle. I see your misery with a broken paddle. I've journaled, have addictions. There's a hole in me cause something's missing. I'm in prison, in my mind. Gotta hear what's been left behind. EMDR, whatever it takes. If I don't see change, I swear I'm gonna break. I just wanna keep you in the dark so low. You feel it in your soul. Never see the light of day. You say, yeah, I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I don't like who I become. What have I done? I'm going numb, ain't having fun. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. I think I'm going crazy, 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 crazy. Keep hope alive. 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 Watch me do my work. Working hard to achieve my dreams, it's harder than it seems. Watch you do my work. Sky's the limit, gotta hit it till you fit it, revel in it. Watch you do my work. Hungry for change to have my name known, cause I say so while the days go. Watch you do my work, cause I stand for a purpose. Watch you work this, cause I'm working. Watch you do my work. Watch you working harder than it ever did. Spitting for the hearts of people that feeling irrelevant. Spitting for the hell of it, embracing all the elements. Music having content that'll challenge your intelligence. This ain't for the faint to the heart. Mature folks thinking that I'm way too smart. Too mature for my age, wanna put me in the grave, but I don't need a safe face, cause I'm running my race. Running my race, even overweight. But you see me overweight, cause I'm stealing off your plate. And I'm feeling so great, even though I make mistakes. Do whatever it takes to make winning the Mason race. But you would never bury me. Talking bad about the man is like heresy. I'm fire like kerosene, apparently my words are like therapy. Watch you do my work. Working hard to achieve my dreams, it's harder than it seems. Watch you do my work. Sky's the limit, gotta hit it till you fit it, revel in it. Watch you do my work. Hungry for change to have my name known, cause I say so while the days go. Watch you do my work, cause I stand for a purpose. Watch you work this, cause I'm working. Watch you do my work. I don't look like a rapper, what they look like, what they sound like, why they sound bite. I'm too busy cruising in my lane, I don't need to buy fame, and this is why I came to put in work in the hearts of man. There's nothing harder than I like a martyr can. Watch you do my work, watch you do it well. Been through hell and I'm telling a story that's so compelling. It's got me screaming and yelling, negative is a repellent, and ain't no dreams I'm selling, cause it gets so numb I'm rebelling. I work hard, you can tell, full of heart, raise a hell, cause you're gonna see me rock the scene like prophecy on a lock and key. It's gotta be something to write home about, cause I work with pride, I got a fire inside. Watch you do my work. Working hard to achieve my dreams, it's harder than it seems. Watch you do my work. Sky's the limit, gotta hit it till you fit it, revel in it. Watch you do my work. Hungry for change to have my name known, cause I say so while the days go. Watch you do my work, cause I stand for a purpose. Watch you work this, cause I'm working. Watch you do my work. Work, work, work. Watch you do my work, work, work. Watch you put in that work, work, work. Watch you do my in that work, work, work. Watch you do my work, work, work. Watch you put in that work, work, work. Watch you do my work, work, work. Watch you do my work. Working hard to achieve my dreams, it's harder than it seems. Watch you do my work. Sky's the limit, gotta hit it till you fit it, revel in it. Watch you do my work. Hungry for change to have my name known, cause I say so while the days go. Watch you do my work, cause I stand for a purpose. Watch you work this, cause I'm working. Watch you do my work. Working hard to achieve my dreams, it's harder than it seems. Watch you do my work. Sky's the limit, gotta hit it till you fit it, revel in it. Watch you do my work. Hungry for change to have my name known, cause I say so while the days go. Watch you do my work, cause I stand for a purpose. Watch you work this, cause I'm working. Watch you do my work. Work, work, work. Watch you do my work, work, work. Watch you put in that work, work, work. Watch you do my work, work, work. Watch you put in that. We have a problem. Uh-oh, there's a problem in the industry. You probably didn't think too many people would be into me. You want carbon copies? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint. It's a breaking point. Words so absurd that I'm breaking joints. Who's this brother in a suit jacket think he is? Don't he know that rappers ain't taking this serious? It's all about making hits, lyrics to the side. Humility isn't welcome cause we're talking about pride. Hey, folks, welcome to Therapy Thursdays. I am in an excellent mood today. I don't know why, but I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Welcome to Therapy Thursdays, where we bring the therapist to you. I am your host, Marcus Alexander Velasquez, and I'm very happy that you're here with us today. For those of you who may be joining for the first time, Therapy Thursdays is a platform where we discuss therapy and mental health topics with real licensed therapists who do this on a daily basis, who are extremely educated on their topics, who have tons of experience with what they speak about as well. So this is a great place, and it's free. It's free. Like, that's crazy. This is such an excellent resource. I'm volunteering my time. Our amazing guest therapists, they're volunteering their time. So this is a beautiful place where people can come, be honest, be weak. Let's talk about our strengths, our weaknesses, how we can grow, how we can depend on one another. And it's just a beautiful thing. Also, what's really cool about this platform, since we broadcast on YouTube Live, which, by the way, please like this video, comment, and subscribe. But since we broadcast live on YouTube, we have a live Q&A portion. So not only are you hearing amazing information from our guests, but you get to submit questions and comments that get answered by our guest therapists on the spot. That's beautiful. Again, I don't know where else you get that from. And if you do, you probably had to pay a lot of money for it. But here at Therapy Thursdays, we love to bless you with that for free. So I'm really happy that you guys are here. Therapy Thursdays is an awesome platform. I'm always honored to be the host here. I learn tons. I myself always want to say that I am not a therapist. But I myself have gone through about 5 or 6 years of therapy on and off. I've grown tremendously. Therapy is such an amazing tool. It is so beautiful. I've grown so much as a person. My relationships have grown so much because of the things I've learned in therapy. And of course, when I grow, when I heal, that affects every relationship around me and those around me. So really, the best way to affect society as a whole is to work on ourselves. Because when we do that, that bleeds over to other people, which bleeds over to more people. And it just has a beautiful ripple effect on our entire society. Because at the end of the day, we are society. So start with yourself and see some amazing things happen after that. But yeah, this is an amazing platform. I'm so honored to be the host here. Welcome. Please don't be shy. We would love to hear your questions and comments and love to answer them to the best of our abilities. But thank you for being here. Today's topic is an interesting one. It's actually really close to my heart. Today, we're talking about eating and food issues. And this is personally, I'm going to be very vulnerable here. This is actually something that I've struggled with my entire life. Food and I have had an interesting relationship. So I'm really interested just for myself to learn so much on this topic from our guest today. But yeah, so those of you who either have a struggle with food or know someone who struggles with food, we're going to get into a great conversation today and learn a lot of great information. So before I bring our guest on, we're going to read through our disclaimer. So this show is for informational purposes only. You are completely responsible for what you do with the information presented, and myself and all of our guests cannot be held liable for any misuse or misunderstanding of the information presented. Please always consult a trained mental health professional before making any decisions regarding treatment of yourself and others. Sweet. So I'm very honored to introduce and bring on our guest today. She's actually back for the second time. So clearly she didn't get annoyed with me enough on the first episode, enough to bring her back on the second episode. So very happy she's here with us. For those of you who saw her at the last episode, obviously you'll recognize her. But I'm going to bring on to the show. I really hope I pronounce her last name correctly. I don't remember from the last time. I know I did great with the first name, but please help me welcome Asta Klimaite. I think that's what it is, Klimaite. But here we go. Add to stream.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Marcus.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
How'd I
Thanks
do
for
in your
having
last
me.
name?
You did awesome.
Yes.
Usually it gets butchered, but today you did good. Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for being here. How are you today?
I'm good. You know what, Marcus? I was really looking forward to talking to you because I feel like last time it was so easy and so, I don't know, just nice, you know?
Awesome.
I ended the episode and my husband was in the background watching on his laptop and he said, "That was awesome." And I was like, "Oh." So
Very cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
great. That makes me happy. Yeah, that's what I want. I want this to just be a informal conversation. It's just two people talking, but we're talking about real credible information. So I'm glad that got across to you. That makes me happy.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming back. We appreciate you being here. For those who may have not gotten to watch the last episode where you are our guest, if you wouldn't mind giving us a short background on who you are, how long you've been in practice, if you focus on any specific things within your practice. And my favorite question is, what interested you in becoming a therapist in the first place?
Okay. Well, hello. So my name is Asta. I am with Beautiful Mind Therapy. I started the practice 2014, so I can't do math, so you figured it out.
8 years.
But I've been practicing for over 15 years, and I am originally from Lithuania, and I started volunteering at the suicide line in Lithuania. Then I was a teenager. They allow that there. So I always kind of knew that's what my passion was, and that's what I wanted to do. And so I almost finished my bachelor's degree in Lithuania, and then I transferred here and finished bachelor and master's in the United States, completed my internship, and I worked at many hospitals, inner city, suburbs, emergency room. I worked at an insurance company.
Nice.
So workaholic, hello. And through that journey, I landed at Alexian Brothers inpatient hospital, and they have an excellent eating disorder program. And then I started working there. My position was a floater, so they have depression unit, anxiety units, substance abuse, detox. They had people who suffer with schizophrenia. So different kind of units, and one of those was eating disorders. And I got assigned there a lot. And initially I was like, oh my God, this is like really intense. And, working there, I really like that population. And then I approached my manager at mental health center I was working at, and I said, what do you think about if I start an outpatient program at Kenneth Young Center? And she was like, yup, you do that.
Awesome.
So I started that program, and I did outpatient groups, individual, all of the assessments to see what level of care people needed. And that just kind of started, and I really, really enjoyed it, working with clients who struggle with various eating disorders. And then I transitioned to private practice. That was kind of my gig, eating disorders. So love that topic. I love that clientele. I love the success my clients had. So this is like cool topic to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah. So is this like a focus for your practice on this particular topic?
It's focused for me. We have several therapists working at the practice. In the therapy world, this would probably be considered one of the tougher clientele to work with. And I like that. That's my personality. I like tough, it's like, I like that little.
You like the challenge.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. So I don't mind it, not at all.
That's awesome. So you said you came to the States. What brought you to the States? Was it school?
Initially I just wanted to, they have this J1 program. It's called Work and Travel. And I came for a summer. I was actually initially in Minnesota, right by Canada border. I worked at the Lutsen Resort as a buzzer. I cleaned stables.
Okay.
And I really liked the culture. And then I came back to Lithuania, and I just felt like it was just very, like, I don't know, for me it was depressing. And I was like, kind of want to go back. So then I I came back and then I studied, and after I finished my studies, I completed my internship, and I just kind of, I don't know, I feel like this is like my country. I feel like I belong here.
Nice.
I don't know. It's weird. I feel like this is like my place. So
Yeah, I get that.
yeah,
Where's your practice located?
it's in Hanover Park.
Hanover Park.
It's by Schaumburg.
Okay.
Far, far, far away. Yeah, I used to have an office downtown, and I loved it. It was right in front of the Bean,
Oh,
on
nice.
Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, nice. They used to have this coffee shop there downstairs. I spent half of my salary eating there. They have really nice French pastries, croissants. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Nice.
But it just got old with driving and
I get that.
paying for parking. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
transitioned into suburbs.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your background. It's great to have you here and get to know a little bit about you. So let's get into it, shall we? Again, one of the things I love to do on this show is not only give credible information, but clear up any misconceptions. So anytime we talk about a topic, I want to make sure that we define our topics appropriately. So if you can please give us definition and define eating disorders.
So, you emailed me like, do you have any questions? What do you want to talk about? I was like, man, I don't know, because I can get so specific into like diagnosis, or I can like just talk to you about like everyday life. So I was really kind of battling because I was getting ready today, and I was like, what I want to say, like I was like, man, I can really get specific and people will like, get bored. So I was thinking maybe we can talk about like the three most prevalent eating disorders.
Sure.
Anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating disorder. I feel like most clients we see, 80%, it's binge eating disorder. Bulimia and anorexia are very rare. They're a little bit more clinically severe. So I can define those.
Yeah, please.
Should we? I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, can you define? Yeah, can you define eating disorders overall, and then we can get into the three specifics?
Well, then I think about disorders of overall, right? I think, does that cause impairment in functioning? We could be work performance, academic, relationships, and then does that cause distress to the client? And do we have some sort of issues physically or mentally in terms of functioning and difficulty focusing, thinking? So then I think about eating disorders. You have in our society Angelina Jolie, huh? Right? She has an eating disorder. I don't know her, right? But just looking at her, and I mean, she looks very thin. Does she have an eating disorder? I don't know. Right? But what is an eating disorder? Is it not eating enough? Is it overeating? Is it binging and purging? So to me, eating disorder means it's not just Super Bowl Sunday, or it's not just, you had a bad day and you ate a pack of chips. It's kind of beyond that, where people are struggling with medical complications, then they cannot keep jobs. Then they get to the point where they're so obese they can't leave their home or get into the ambulance. So then I think about disorder, I think about severe issues of functioning and health problems. So that's how I would define a disorder.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then now, please feel free to give us the definitions for anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating.
So anorexia, we have an idea, right? Somebody who doesn't eat. If you want to get specific, it has to be below 17.5 BMI, body mass index, 17.5. Yeah.
Do you know how they arrived at that number?
I guess it's just combination of malnutrition.
Okay.
Because if you are at 17.5, you are pushing malnutrition standards.
Gotcha.
I usually, then I sign contracts with my clients. I say BMI of 15, we're going to hospitalize you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, with anorexia, especially, hospitalizations are very frequent. I hospitalize a lot of people. I actually, if I feel like there's an issue with restricting food, anorexia,
Yeah.
then I have a kind of contract before people even start working with me, what the expectations are and what we need to be accomplishing. Some clients, they hear what I have to say and they don't want to do it, and then they run away, which is fine with me. Like, for example, one of my I say I won't accept you unless you get in session weigh-ins weekly.
Oh, wow.
But that's anorexia, right? I look at it as, then we had a conversation about social anxiety. That is something, we want to improve somebody's life, we want to improve functioning. Then I think about severe eating disorders. It's do I want them to die or not? That kind of situation. So I just don't feel comfortable accepting people who might die.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have some sort of safeguards. Or with anorexia, I ask my clients that they have a primary care physician and they see them at least once a month, and that I have access to their medical chart, progress notes. It's serious.
Yeah, you
People
get deep. Yeah.
So, in simple words, anorexia is restricting to the point where it's really affecting your, like if you have a teenager, for example, then we look at teenagers. They're supposed to, their growth supposed to happen at certain percentiles. So it's not only not gaining weight, but it's not, I get really concerned if they're not gaining height. So, some sort of developmental issues, medical issues, due to not eating, restricting. Binge bulimia, it's then clients binge on a lot of food very quickly. Criteria is in 2 hours or less. And so DSM-5, this is like our book of criteria. So the criteria is you have to binge, and then so like Super Bowl Sunday, if you're eating all day, it wouldn't be considered a binge.
Yeah.
You got to do it quickly in less than 2 hours. So that's like one of the criteria. And then there's compensatory behaviors. I would say 80 to 90% of clients who come in with bulimia, they binge and then they purge, which is vomit. Some clients engage in other behaviors such as excessive exercising, and other things. I don't want to I always kind of should I tell people? Because I don't want to teach tips and tricks how to have an eating disorder, but then I want to educate people. So I don't know. So, and then they do other things to compensate for the amount of calories they have.
So the bulimia is binging and then purging. So forcing themselves to throw up.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And then you have binge eating disorder. Criteria is the same. You got to eat food within 2 hours, but there's no compensatory behavior where you wouldn't throw up or wouldn't excessively exercise or do all of the other things. So it's just the binge, not the purge.
So just the intake, not getting rid of it.
So this is the binge eating disorder. You usually have people who are overweight.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for those very specific definitions.
Yeah, I
know. No, that's good. We're here to learn. Awesome. I would like to know, how common are eating disorders?
I think pretty common in our society, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. But I didn't know if you knew any numbers or studies.
I used to know, and then I forgot. Okay, Marcus. So
Okay.
this is I'm not going to sit here and pretend. Oh, it's 40%. I don't remember the numbers.
Okay.
But I would say, from my personal opinion, I feel like anorexia is probably less than 5%. Binge eating disorder, it's getting up there. I feel like I can't give you the number, but I feel like it's most prevalent eating disorder.
Have you seen, or I'm sorry to interrupt you, did you see a rise in any eating disorder, but particularly binge eating over the pandemic?
Yes, absolutely. But on the other, if we're going to talk about trends in this, like with anorexia, I'm seeing younger kids. I would say 10 years ago, I would have seen 14 to 17 onset,
Yeah.
11, 10-year-olds.
Wow.
They actually made a DSM-5. They added AFRED, which is like, I call it pre-anorexia diagnosis. Those picky eaters who are like, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat that. It could start turning into anorexia or some sort of eating disorder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That stinks.
Yep.
That
And then you
stinks.
know what? It ebbs and flows too. I have people who come with anorexia, with restricting, and then you go into like binging and purging, into bulimia.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So people can bounce around between the three.
Yeah.
Wow.
Plus comorbidity, self-injuries. It's, I would say, number one, self-injury behaviors with anorexia and bulimia.
So it's self-injury through not eating, or self-injury on top?
You're so smart, Marcus.
Thanks.
That's a good point, because then I think about self-injury, I think about cutting.
Right.
But what you're talking about is more, I don't know, sophisticated way of injuring yourself.
Ooh, I'll take that.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's like, for example, sometimes self-injury could be men, especially in sports, have eating disorders, by the way. And sometimes if they eat too much, they punish themselves by accidentally running into football, right? This is where they like push each other.
Wow.
Into risky situations, and you know, getting injuries, sports injuries. It's socially acceptable to be injured during sports game, right?
Right.
So nobody would suspect.
So they purposely get hurt as a way to punish themselves?
Yeah.
Wow, very interesting.
I mean,
yeah, no, I've never heard that perspective, so it's brand new to me.
Like, you know, if I have an eating disorder client and they come in and they start seeing bruises, you know, I would just say, you know, what happened here, what happened there. I always pay attention to bruises.
Wow.
Any client would come in, you know, for many reasons. It could be self-injury, it could be domestic violence, it could be medical issues, such as issues with blood. It could be they need to be on blood thinners, because if they're bruising easy, think about elderly, right? Look at how bruised up they are. Sometimes it could be a reflection of a medical issue. So I'm always very much into, or for example, if you see somebody with a rash, certain medications could cause it, like Lamictal rash. It's extremely it could be life-threatening. I had a client who came in and he was taking Lamictal, and I said, "What is this?" And he said, "Oh, it's a little rash. It's not a big deal." I said, "We're going to my Civic and we're driving to Alexia Brothers right now." So I just took him to emergency room.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean,
thank you for fighting so much for your patients. That's beautiful. Yeah. I'm just curious. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I'm just curious, like, how do I even want to ask this question? Like, okay, we won't ask for a specific number, but how often does it get to the point where some of your clients need to be hospitalized?
If it's somebody with anorexia, we're always tiptoeing around that. It's a dance, Marcus. It's a dance.
Wow. Wow, that's tough.
Every client with anorexia I had, that's a conversation we have at some point of the treatment.
Wow, that's good. No, that's a tough conversation to have, but obviously much needed.
And I'm a tough therapist. What can I say?
There you go. So it seems like you get stuff done, though.
Because, I mean, I wouldn't act this way if I would be treating different kind of disorder. But some of these disorders are life-threatening. I cannot be, "Oh, it's fine. You go home and you do whatever you want, and then I'm just going to not care and sleep at night." No.
Wow. That's great. Thank you for having conviction in what you do. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So I'd like to get to know, I think a common theme with therapy is nothing is really ever surface level. There's kind of always reasoning behind what's going on. So can we talk a little bit? I'm sure there's tons of them, but can we talk a little bit about what are some of the causes of eating disorders?
Ooh. Well, if you look at, for example, I can go by disorder. You want to do that? Anorexia, for example.
Sure.
So a lot of times with anorexia, we have people who have lack of control, and that's a way to control their environment by controlling their eating intake.
That makes sense.
So we see that in a lot of abusive situations, sexual abuse, because if sexual abuse, it could go both ways. People restrict because they want to punish themselves for being in the situation. They want to punish the abuser. Sometimes people overeat or dress in very loose clothing to hide themselves because they don't want to be attractive to the perpetrator.
Oh, wow.
So being big, it's a way to deter people from sexually abusing you, depending on the culture.
Yeah, I have heard that before.
Some cultures in, for example, Africa, I had clients from there, being bigger, it's considered very sexy. So they do restrict because they want to be attractive. So sexual abuse, a lot of times, a lot of issues with father-daughter relationships, a lot of that conflicts, bullying in school. Yep. I mean, just look at social media.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you made me do the Instagram, remember? So now I'm on Instagram. Hello, everybody. I hit 75 followers. Okay, so, but I mean, then I open my Instagram. What do you see? Do you see healthy people?
No.
Do you? Okay, so, I mean, think about we don't really have a lot of censorship of what teenagers look like. They look at all these models.
Yep.
And what do they see? Oh, I want to be like that. I want to be on that magazine,
Yeah.
So that's in terms of anorexia. With bulimia, it's the same, right? You want to be socially acceptable. It's just with bulimia, it's a lot of feeling out of control and a lot of shame. And sometimes it's punishment. I want to punish myself for this and this and this. Sometimes it's stress. Comments from family members. A lot of times when I see eating disorders, they come from families with disorganized, unhealthy eating habits. I mean, I don't know if you had this in United States, but when I was growing up, some of my friends' parents, they said you don't get up from the table until you finish your plate.
Yep.
I have a daughter. I sometimes say this too, and I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said this, but we regress to what we seen and we were growing up.
Yeah.
Naturally. So,
absolutely.
So I see that because yes, they can sit, they can finish the meal, and then they go into the bathroom and they vomit.
Yeah. So
the family's happy because they ate the dinner, and they're happy because they are not gaining weight by getting rid of it. Sometimes there's this I feel like sometimes with binging, there is a sense to me of addiction. People get high off of, sugar, salt tastes good. There's a lot of research says sugar makes you feel good. There's let's not minimize that.
Yep.
It really makes people feel really good. So
it can be as addictive as cocaine. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I had addiction to chips. Believe me, it was very hard I was doing a pack a night, no problem there.
A pack a night.
Dude,
I usually hear that about packs about cigarettes, not pack of
pack of chips. My I miss them. TGI Fridays potato skins. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
TGI. So I have my own theory, and I'd like to share it with you and to get your thoughts on it. Just the audience knows this is not rehearsed and prepared because it just popped in my head. I've had this theory again with my experience with therapy and just my analytical nature, analyzing things. And again, like I said, this is a very specific topic to me myself because it's something I've struggled with, which was the binging portion. So analyzing my behavior and kind of like when I've gone on binges and how it makes me feel, I've equated it to something, and I'd like to know your thoughts on this. So there are times where I would eat so much to the point where I would kind of feel heavy, and I equated it to like a weighted blanket. So like a weighted blanket, you know, it's heavy on you. It can kind of calm down someone's anxiety. So I kind of thought, in my own theory, again, like it's kind of like an internal weighted blanket. Not saying this is the only reason, but this could be one of the reasons that people overeat, because like just that heaviness, that saturation, it kind of makes you feel tired and sedated. And that was my theory. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I heard that before.
Oh, cool.
Or it makes people fall asleep
Mm,
at night. You know, the night bingers.
yeah.
They are like, I need to eat, otherwise I can't fall asleep. I'm too hungry.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, emotional dysregulation. You know, you had a bad day at work, so then, I mean, it's effective.
Yeah.
It's effective. There's no. Let's not argue about that part.
Yeah.
It's very effective.
Yeah, and there's very real, and I'm glad you brought up emotions, because that was actually one of my questions. But there is a very real connection between food and love for some people, because they received love through food, like their parents feeding them, their grandparents feeding them, whatever. It's like, oh, I love you. Here's a cookie, kid. So that means like, oh, well, if I'm being loved, I'm eating cookies. So let me just eat as much as I can and get as much love as I can.
Exactly.
I know that's definitely part of it too.
Yeah. Well, love languages, and you look at love languages, right? I mean, one part of it is acts of kindness, and in my culture, acts of kindness is food. You go to a family gathering, there's a lot of food. You go to visit somebody, they feed you, and if you refuse, then it's kind of an insult. So culturally, that's also reinforced. And I mean, in Lithuania, we're talking about heavy potatoes, gravy. I mean, you know, meat. It's
good stuff.
And with all of that food, all this going on, I feel like Lithuanians are the thinnest.
Lithuania is what?
In Lithuania, we have a lot of very thin women.
Oh, interesting.
They don't eat. You know, I would probably, I don't know if I would be considered overweight, but I would be like, you would be, I feel like they would say, yo, you got a little, you have a little belly going on here.
Wow.
It's very, you know, looking back, because I started this eating disorder journey and treatment, then I came to United States, so I didn't have that experience in Lithuania. But then I think back at it, at my classmates, my friends, I'm like, yep, you had it, you have it. Oh my God, you all of it, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to know too, especially because you have an international experience. Is there a significant difference between the United States and other countries when it comes to eating disorders?
I don't think so. I think it's, I mean, culturally, if you look at, for example, Africa, right, it's different. But I feel like Europe and United States, I think that it's pretty similar.
Oh, wow.
I think so. I feel like it's a little more severe in Europe, actually.
Interesting.
In terms of anorexia and bulimia, I think in United States, obesity and binging disorder is more prevalent.
Yeah.
But you know, like for this new year, I went to Dubai, and we had this cultural experience of one of the Arabic women who talked about the culture. And, you know, I like couldn't hold myself. I'm like, so do tell, I'm a little shrinky here. So is that, you know, do you guys go to therapy? And I just basically I was just asking about therapy in general. And then she herself mentioned eating disorders. And I was like, wait, like under eating or overeating? And she's like, under eating. So, you know, it was very interesting. I couldn't like pry on her experiences, but she was talking about like anorexia in those Arab countries too. So I don't think they have enough research to even talk about it, I guess, at this point.
Wow.
But it was interesting what she said, you know.
Okay. Is one of the causes of eating disorders as well is trauma, and people just find a way to use food to numb their traumas?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sexual trauma, emotional, physical.
Okay.
Absolutely, very, very prevalent.
That makes a lot of sense. So I know that the undereating and overeating has effects on our body. If you can talk about some of the medical complications that are associated with eating disorders.
So I was thinking about, like, should I talk to about this, because that's one of the questions I sent you. I was like, should I not, like,
Sure. Yeah.
because I don't, when my clients come in, I don't do the spiel of like, let me threaten you
Mm,
to, to say like, oh, if you don't eat, this is what's going to happen, da, 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 da,
right. Yep.
but I do say this might happen or may not. You need to go see the doctor, and we need to monitor it.
Mm,
Otherwise, I'm like mistreating you, and I'm doing you the service.
mm,
So I pay attention to that. I wanted to mention it because sometimes we have a lot of friends and family members, and we need to look for certain signs. And I feel like sometimes physical is the easiest signs to notice initially.
yep.
So, like, if you a lot of emergency room visits, with like anorexia, bones deteriorate. So
Mm,
you have to do like bone mass scan to see. So it's not going to be a problem in your 20s or 30s. It's going to be a problem in your 40s and 50s when you start breaking bones. You start to
mm,
fingers usually, So usually then you get elderly 70s, right? 60s. Then this is when we start seeing falls and breaking
yeah.
broken bones. With anorexia, it usually kicks in 40s, 50s,
Mm,
much earlier. So, if you have a friend who's breaking bones and they're at 30 and they shouldn't be, I mean, that's something to think about. Emergency room visits, electrolyte imbalance. If you see somebody always drinking Gatorade, I, you know, I would think about, okay, are they just exercising a lot and they're just really taking care of themselves, or is there
mm,
a medical issue and we need to be addressing by having electrolyte imbalance?
yeah.
You know, I have a friend who's a dentist, and I'm like, so do you or do you not? And she's like, absolutely. Like the cavities.
Mm,
So if you vomit, if there's acid, what stays in your mouth, of course. So that erodes your teeth. So you
yeah.
have like yellowish looking teeth, or you have a lot of cavities.
Hmm,
So I always tell my clients, if you purge, wait half an hour, like drink some water, and don't floss it, because if you do, you're just brushing the acid into your teeth.
yeah.
So I talked to a couple of my friends who are dentists, and I was like, is this correct? Can I say this? And they're like, yes, you are correct. So like, teeth issues, right? Something to pay attention to. Uh, with women not having period,
Oh, wow.
anorexia. That's the one of the things. That's actually one of
Wow.
the criteria in DSM-5, not having a period.
Wow.
Pain. People just have a lot of pain: joint pain, back pain, body pain. So that's kind of one area. Fatigue and dizziness. So if somebody stands up and then they feel very dizzy, then that could be a medical complication. Then I worked at Alexian. We actually measured blood pressure sitting and then standing to see if there is a huge drop in blood pressure.
Wow. That's
That
good.
was one of the indications. Um, of course, heart problems. It could lead to stroke. So yeah, cardio. And then I would say one of the first ones I hear is if your hair falling out. Like, oh my
Mm,
God, Asta, you're not going to believe it. My hair is falling out. I don't know what to do. So that's just kind of like a little bit of the issues you can have
okay.
and you can look for, I guess, um, when you are talking to somebody. And on the other hand, if somebody's overeating, of course, that leads to obesity, that leads to knee pain, knee surgeries. Bulimia could be pretty risky because if people vomit a lot, they lose electrolytes. It could also lead to significant cardio problems. So I don't want to like threaten people, but it's just like, if that's your choice, you want to do this, as long as you're more than 17.5 BMI, you good. But, you know, I always kind of say, you might live shorter, you know, or if you do live longer, it might be a pretty miserable physically life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, this is a very heavy topic. No, you didn't scare me. It's just, it's real. I love it. I love it. I never run from truth whatsoever, even if it makes me uncomfortable. I love it. So let's get on to some good stuff, because we definitely dug into the not so good stuff. So obviously, as you know, we promote therapy on this show, and so I would like to know, and really, I love introducing people to real life therapists such as yourself. Some people have never even met a therapist, don't know what they're like. So when people see you on camera and on YouTube, they're like, "Oh, this is cool. This is a real person." And
you don't bite, okay?
Yeah,
they
don't bite. There you go. They're not superhuman. They're some weird breed of human, or they're an alien from another planet. Like, these are real people. So the goal with this show is not only to inform, but to inspire people to actually want to pursue formal therapy for themselves and to seek out a professional licensed therapist. So that being said, how can a licensed professional therapist such as yourself help someone with an eating disorder and guide them through it?
Well, you know, so there are a lot of therapies we could do. You know, there's pharma, of course, which I'm not a big fan. Sometimes we have to discuss it for like medications.
Oh,
pharma.
Okay.
You know, I am not very big on meds. I really don't. But if my clients are struggling and, you know, being underweight, we sometimes do like Ensure, you know, those shakes, Ensure supplements. And if they're not gaining a lot of weight, then we consider putting them on medications because we want to like gain weight quicker. So yes, or there's appetite suppressants. But I also don't believe in those too much. So yes, we can talk about medications, but it's not ideal in my opinion. You know, of course, cognitive behavioral therapy is the big thing. You know, then you asked me about differences between Europe and United States. I feel like in the United States, it's very much insurance driven, CBT kind of treatment. And here it's a little more, I feel like, behavioral monitoring, harm reduction, CBT, food logs, thought logs. You know, when you talk about CBT, we're talking about your thoughts, your feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. So if you try to change one of them, it helps with everything else.
Absolutely.
You know, so here's a lot of like harm reduction kind of treatment. In Europe, I went to this training. We had both European therapists and from United States. And you can really clearly see the difference because they're talking about underlying issues. Let's address those kind of more like client-centered therapy, less of like, let's make sure you do weekly weigh-ins. What I do, it's very CBT kind of treatment where I'm monitoring your numbers. We're kind of monitoring your tracking. With anorexia, it's very appropriate because it's a life-threatening situation. You know, sometimes I do it with my overeaters if I feel like we're tipping into obesity and extreme overweightness. So I do that. But in Europe, they really kind of more client-centered, like Carl Rogers, if you heard of him. It's more like unconditional positive regard, acceptance. And the idea is if you resolve those, the behaviors will just lift themselves and you won't need to overeat, or you don't need to have control and not eat because you have underlying issues resolved.
Yep.
So two thoughts.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I lean towards the second one. The way I describe it, because one, through my experience and the way I describe it to people is when you heal the disease, the symptoms go away as a byproduct. So to me, the disease is the underlying causes of the addiction or the disorder. And if you heal that trauma, that unresolved issue, the extension of the trauma, which is the addictions and disorders, they kind of take care of themselves. At least that's how it was in my experience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. But then I have a new client come in. My first line of treatment is, let's get your eating under control and then get your sleeping under control. Basic. We're talking very basic, eating, sleeping, moving. And then once we kind of have those, I call it in-depth therapy after that, because the issue is if you are severely malnutritioned and you eat 500 calories a day, you cannot think clearly. And anything you and I would talk about is not being processed.
Wow.
So I need you thinking clearly and I need you coherent. So I need you back up with your calories and I need you eating so we can even have a conversation.
That's good.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like I could have a conversation with somebody, but think about it. If you're severely hungry, would you be concentrating on what I'm saying? You would be nodding and saying, yep, and thinking, I cannot wait. 14 minutes later, I'm going to go and eat, That's
right.
Yep. So we got to get those under control. And then we can even consider, or, if my overeaters, if they're in pain constantly, if they're always uncomfortable, if they can't move, if they can't even get to my office, we need to get that a little under control until we can start talking about the trauma, what was caused. So kind of, I don't know, different levels of therapy, I guess. I think you put it so nicely to, if we address those underlying issues, things will get better. But sometimes I can't even do that. I need to get people like sleeping and eating, basic stuff.
Wow. I don't know if you know this, and I know every person's an individual. Everyone has their own journey and timelines. But is there roughly an average or maybe like a minimum amount of time that you see you're devoting yourself and work to somebody before they start seeing improvements?
With eating disorders, I feel like if they agree to my treatment plan fairly quickly.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I would say 2-3 months. I want to see results quickly.
Wow, you are tough.
I am. And then after that, if they stick with me and don't run away, then we're looking at a year minimum.
Okay.
Weekly.
Wow, very cool.
Yep, wow. I know. I insurance used to cover like 10 sessions, right? And I'm like, cool. In 10 sessions, we can get you stabilized on eating, we can get you sleeping, we can get you feeling better. But but the problem with that is if I do that in 10 sessions, is awesome. If I drop the client in 10 sessions, they will relapse in about 2 weeks. So it's keep going back to therapy, then you are feeling better, then you are seeing results, because you will relapse. Sorry. We just know that.
Yeah.
And then you are feeling the best. A lot of times people really let go and say, I can have a drink. I can have a bag of chips just tonight because I had such an awesome day. Things are going well. I'm getting along with my husband. My job is wonderful. Things are going well. Yeah. And then people stop slipping. Then they're doing their best, actually.
Yeah.
So that's the riskiest time, in my opinion, then clients slip up. So I keep saying like, I have a waiting list. I don't need clients, right? But I do need good treatment. So then people are like, Asta, you want me to come in and I feel good and this and that. I was like, yes, I want you to come in. And they're like, why? I'm like, because I know. And because you have to listen to me. But seriously, I just seen this too many times. And people drop off from therapy too early.
Yeah.
And then they're too ashamed to come back.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I agree with that. And I understand. Thank you so much for your information. This is beautiful, by the way. I love it. I see why you...
my therapy, right?
Beautiful. There it is. I was just going to plug. You beat me to the plug. Okay. So this is probably one of my last questions. And then if you have anything else you'd like to add, you're more than welcome to. But if we recognize certain behaviors in someone we know or love, a family, friend, a spouse, a partner, first off, can we help them? And if we can, how can we help them?
I think, first of all, you have to realize what you're dealing with. That's number one. So let me give you quick tips and tricks, because I thought about this before we started talking today. Like, what do I want people to like remember leaving? So like one thing is, if your friend, for example, eats dinner and disappears to the bathroom, one time fine. 2 times, I would be starting listening. 3 times, I would be like, yo, what's going on? Why do you have to go to the bathroom after, we eat? Well, maybe kinder than this, but, or they shower, for example, or have running water, so you wouldn't hear they're puking in the bathroom. Kind of warning sign. Or if you have somebody who is sitting at the restaurant, picking at their plate, not just once, but every time, or they look at pizza and then they have like a mini heart attack and say, I will never eat this. I will only order salad and nothing else. Or if you see food being stashed at home, or food disappearing, like large quantities of food disappearing from the pantry. And then if you dig into the garbage on the bottom, you see all of those wrappers and all of the people hiding, right? Like with people with alcohol struggle, what would you're not going to put the bottle on the top of the garbage, you're going to sneak it in and put it in, right? So if you start noticing food disappearing, or somebody radically loses weight or radically gains weight, that's something, I would definitely pay attention. If that's my family friend or somebody, I would kind of pay attention to that. And then read up, Google, of course, to kind of figure out what you're dealing with first. And then if you brave yourself to speak to somebody and say, hey, I would really not, I would really come from a place of understanding versus what's wrong with you, like get it together, stop eating those chips or stop binging at night. Like, that's not healthy. Like, they know it's not healthy. Like, they know it's not cool. So you saying that, what is that going to do to them? Get them defensive?
Right.
I mean, if I would be like, so Marcus, you should stop binging at night.
Yeah. Yep.
Also pick a right time. If you're going to do a confrontation, don't do it in front of the whole family. That's embarrassing.
Yep.
I mean, people feel like they can ambush somebody at the family dinner and that's going to go well. Like, that's a bad plan, man.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Alone.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah, a big thing for me, and again, in my experience, is I've learned this, and this is a great lesson because after learning it myself, I've applied it towards my relationship with other people, which is that people have to be ready to receive information, hear the harsh truth, because even if you have the best intentions, when you call someone out on something that they're not ready to be called out for, they get, like you said, defensive, denial, and that could possibly damage your relationship with them, because even if it's the truth, if they're not ready to receive it, they're not ready to change, they don't want to be reminded of something that they already know about, they're probably already ashamed of, and hearing somebody else tell them something that they don't want to hear will bring distance between them, because, if you're going to keep telling me something I don't want to hear, then I need to stop talking to you so often.
Yep. Slap in the face and block. I call it slap in the face and block. That's what you will get.
Slap in the face and block.
And, so you have to understand, especially with users, these people are so defensive. They dragged into my office half of the time. They don't want to be there. They're telling me to F off and this and that. I like that. I mean,
You like
I don't mind.
You like the worst case scenarios.
Yeah. I tell everybody, like, my favorite clients are like angry teenagers who get dragged in. That's my cup of tea. I just love cracking them and then putting them together, and then they're like 5 years later texted me, as I got engaged. I'm like, yes.
So cool.
Yeah, so cool. So, but with eating disorders, you have to really realize, if you decide to confront somebody, you have to be very gentle. And then 90% of the time, you're going to get denial. And I don't know what you're talking about. I just have upset stomach, or food just comes up. I don't know. It's a reflex, right?
Yeah.
That's why you have to work with a doctor to say, no, it's not. So, but you have to have ammunition. I wouldn't in my first session be like, no, it's just, you make yourself vomit just by thinking about it. You just got so good about that. No, I would say, yep, sounds like something we need to address, and go do a following study.
Yeah. There you go.
So,
wow. Yeah. Definitely. I want to drive that point home, that people have to be ready to receive information. If not, they will reject you. They will possibly put distance between you two because they don't want to be reminded of something that they're not ready to accept. And to be honest, that can be extremely difficult, because especially if it's someone you love and care about, and they're making decisions that are hurting themselves, it's extremely difficult. But that you have to remember that we all have our own free wills, and we all make our own decisions, and you can never want better for someone than they want for themselves. And even if you have all the right answers, literally give them a plan, A to Z, follow this plan and you'll be fine. Like, if they're not ready to receive it, they're just not going to receive it. And we have to do our best to just support them and love them through it. Like you said, be tactful, mention it every now and then, see if they're open to changing, open a meeting or talking to a therapist. But it's a very delicate balance, because we have to be careful to not want better for someone than they want for themselves, because people have to be ready to receive it.
Yeah. And this happens a lot with parents. I mean, they bite their ass, and now they have to be walking around on eggshells, and you're 15 and they have to think about what they're saying, and they have to be kind and gentle, not make comments. The biggest trigger for somebody with weight issues is commenting about their weight.
Yep.
Even if it's a compliment, even if to say, you lost a lot of weight, you look good, trigger,
Yep.
or you look good today, that could be a huge trigger. So my parents are really struggling a lot of times, where they just can't support the teenager. Then I say, if you don't know how to support, shut up. Like, don't.
It's good advice.
Just,
if
you don't know what to say, don't say anything. Hug them, pet them, sleep with them in one bed, cuddle, hug, and shut up.
I love it. Great advice. Great advice. Everyone listening, follow that advice. Awesome. I threw your website up on the screen, beautifulmindtherapy.com. If anyone watching tonight would like to reach out to our wonderful guest today, please utilize her website. Are you taking on new clients?
You see, I say no, but then what happens is I do all of the intake at the practice, and somebody calls, and I was like, and they start talking, and like my therapeutic interest gets piqued, and I was like, fine. So the answer is no, but the reality is I just have no balls. And
okay. All right. Yeah. And if anything, people can reach out to you, and you have other therapists on board that might be able to take them on, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Sweet. Great. Well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for being here. You were wonderful. For those who are watching and want to connect with our guest today, or any other of our previous guests, please click the link in the YouTube description below. It will bring up an online spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet will have all the contact information for all of our therapists. Please reach out to them. Please utilize this amazing resource. Healing is available. Obviously, you have to want it, but just know that it is available. There are wonderful people like Asta out there that are willing to help you and guide you through your journey. And it's up to you if you want to take advantage of it. But just as someone who has gone through it and continues to go through it, just know it's an amazing process, and it's definitely worth it. Awesome. I'm going to wrap up with our disclaimer again one last time. This show is for informational purposes only. You are completely responsible for what you do with the information presented, and myself and all of our guests cannot be held liable for any misuse or misunderstanding of the information presented. Please always consult a trained mental health professional before making any decisions regarding treatment of yourself and others. Asta, it was an absolute pleasure having you here a second time. You are always welcome back. Do you have any final words for us?
No, thanks for inviting me. You are so awesome, so easy to talk to. It was really very comfortable and nice. And
an hour passed by like nothing.
Yeah, 8 o'clock. Yep. So
awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Yeah, you're always welcome back. You have access to the spreadsheet. So if you want to come back, please sign up. We'd love to have you back.
Thanks for doing such an awesome job, Marcus. Really, I mean, you rock. So
my pleasure. I appreciate it. Everyone else, thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time with another wonderful guest therapist to discuss another mental health and therapeutic topic. So in the meantime, we will see you next week. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.
Work. Watch you do my